Hey guys, so I wanted to throw this mind dump at you before I headed out for the night. I've been thinking about this for several weeks, and I announced it kind of formally yesterday on Twitter, but I didn't do a great job at actually kind of publicizing it. So this is my video to kind of tell you what I have in mind. I've always been oddly fascinated and obsessed with podcasts. I know there's a lot of you that don't listen to podcasts. If you don't, you should. A good place to start would be 5by5.tv. 5by5 does amazingly good podcasts because unlike a lot of podcasts I've been on, even tried myself, where it's just a recap of the week's news, there's a time and place for those kind of podcasts. But really, the podcasts that are successful are podcasts with a certain agenda that's followed every week. A podcast that focuses on a certain category, not just all of tech, maybe a podcast on just Android, or even more specific, like a podcast on just action novels. Or, there's so many different things you could talk about, and there's so many great podcasts on 5by5, from tech stuff to business stuff to comic books to just about everything. And camera got bumped. And that's kind of what I want to do with the new Snazzy Labs podcasting network I'm trying to create. I want to bring a bunch of content to you guys, but I can't post all of that by myself. As much as I'd like to put out 10 podcasts a week, I simply cannot do it. But here's my offer for you. The podcasts I've been on or have even hosted myself have ultimately failed because it's kind of difficult to get a financial backing to host a podcast. If you do a podcast right, it costs about $20 a podcast a month, which is not a lot, but when you're not getting a big viewership, $20 a month kind of sucks. So I know that there's several people I've hosted with that are paying this $20 a month, and no one watches their show, so there's no reason to keep paying $20 a month. And that's the second problem. The second problem with podcasts that I've been on is there's no network. It's really hard to gain that initial following. Snazzy Labs gets 15,500 viewers per day, which is absolutely phenomenal. I would have never expected it from the day I launched the site that it would be as successful as it is. We serve about 35,000 page views per day on average, which is phenomenal. So this podcasting network already has that market. You don't have to start from zero. So here's my proposition to you. If you've ever wanted to host a podcast, or if you ever have and it didn't work, I have a solution for you. Come host it under the Snazzy Labs brand name. Now, you will have to post it under our name. We will own the copyright to the show. But what you can do as a host is get that follower base right up front. Secondly, you don't have to pay for the financial stuff. You don't even have to pay for syndication or even setting up the podcast. All you have to do is record it. Well, you have to plan it, record it, edit it. You send it to me, and I'll take care of the rest of the crap. I'll get it in iTunes. I'll get it on Zune Marketplace. I'll get it in every other store possible. I'll take care of the crappy stuff. You just leave the good stuff to yourself. And then that's how we're going to do it. So you may be wondering, well, is there any financial benefit to this? Like, am I going to gain any from hosting a podcast on your network rather than starting my own? Yes. Again, that initial viewer base is there already. Moreover, if you get a podcast that has yielded quite a bit of success, I am going to start going, and by a bit of success, I only mean like 10 to 15,000 views or downloads per week, which is really rather good. We could even do it at 5,000. But what I'll do once you start getting a consistent viewing base is I will go and look for sponsors for your show. So you'll have to put advertisements in your show, but you will start making money. And depending on how many followers or how many subscribers you have to your podcast, you can get a lot of dough from podcasting. I mean, Twit.tv just built a $1.2 million studio or whatever it is, and all they do is podcast. Now, granted, they're very professional, they're very in tune, and they have hundreds of thousands worth of dollars of equipment, which we don't have. But if the content is there and if the content is good, people will listen. And if people listen, people sponsor. And if people sponsor, you get money. So it really is this encompassed kind of circle of awesome. So if you've ever wanted to host a podcast and either haven't had the financial means to do so or you never had the audience, now's your chance. There's a form below. All you have to do is go to that form and fill out your information if you're interested in hosting a show with That Snazzy iPhone Guy and Snazzy Labs. And if you're interested in hosting a podcast, you will need to find a co-host. I will co-host with you if it's something I'm interested in. But It shouldn't be a big old panel. It should be you and some other person. 2 people per podcast, and we'll be launching in the next couple weeks as a full network with 5 to 6 shows in the beginning, and then we'll expand more with due time. So again, if you've ever been interested in podcasting, if you want to, yada, 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 now's your chance. Fill out the form below and get going. Thanks so much for watching, subscribing, listening, rating, commenting, and being the awesome people that you are. Stay snazzy and have a good weekend.